Hello, everyone. Welcome to an awesome day of FileMaker training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FMTrain.tv, where every day at this time slot, it's an exciting time to be learning about the Claris FileMaker platform. So moving along to today's live stream conversation on Twilio. So very, very important. So years ago, we did a live stream, did a sample files of everything on Twilio, right? In fact, is that on our website, Margaret, at the current time? If you go to rcconsulting.com, that's privacy.
It might be. I don't mess with this website very often since I
So if you go here, and then if you scroll down here, I think there's a Twilio thing in here, and this is the link that's supposed to get updated. Recruiter, donations, there it is right there. And so this Template, Margaret, this is the one that we would press to see if that was actually gonna, oh, Rev 2, is that your new one, is Rev 2? Yeah, see, pretty great, isn't that? So the short version of that is that we had done this years ago. And that demo file needed a little tweaking. The API interactions were a little bit off, a little bit different. So we've updated that. And that's what today's conversation about. Some of you, this conversation is a lot like sending email. Sending email and sending SMS messages should be an extraordinarily simple conversation. In fact, one of the Discord people said, oh, I can't believe that's a whole live stream because, you know, it's so simple, right? It's so simple. It should be simple, right? And the reality is the technical execution of it is simple. But because the world is full of bad people who do bad things, the regulatory end of email and the regulatory end of SMS messaging to people's phones is, I want to say highly regulated, right? It's regulated differently in different countries, right? But for the most part, you know, I'm talking about the United States, for us, Europe to a degree, Australia, and any other outlying, you know, countries where this tech is being used, EU, UK, et cetera, et cetera. So, but either there is, and is Jacob Taylor, is he here, Margaret? Did he?
Yeah, Jacob is here.
Present, yes, welcome.
He is here. Jacob Taylor is here with us as well. So this gets back to this overall conversation about Twilio, and why Jacob's here is this whole interaction. So other people have done demos in Twilio, and when they do the demo, they say, oh, it's like the simplest thing ever. It's like a 5-minute thing. You just press these 2, 3, or 4, 5 things together, and out comes a functional SMS message demo. And that is technically correct from a technical programmer standpoint, but most of us do more than just program. We're also responsible for, you know, maybe getting this implemented all the way to completion with a customer. We just don't give the customer the code and say, here you go, good luck. There's a lot that goes into email and SMS just to allow you to legally send it, or send it at all where they don't block it, right? It's a really, really, really big deal. So that's why Jacob's here. Jacob is well-versed in this stuff. And I want to kind of go through this process. So the short version is that we're going to demonstrate this. We have it working. But the hardest part, and it's a multi-day, if not multi-week effort to do this, is to get approved to send email messages. Like I get email messages from all sorts of random people, and they're trying to sell me solar. I hate that. They're trying to sell me all sorts of unsavory sort of bad shit going on. People pretending to be my bank, right? All sorts of bad stuff. And so, Jacob, if you want to jump in here in this process, but the short version is that you create a Twilio account, and the idea is that you're going to then buy a phone number from Twilio or rent a phone number from Twilio. And that phone number will be assigned to you. So when you text people, it's not a phone number generally you're going to call. It's a phone number that, say we get a message from so-and-so, like Podna is going to send you a message about coding on the Apple Watch, okay? And he's going to send you a message. And so Podna is not going to use his personal cell phone for his business like that. He would have 20 or 30 or 50, 100,000 customers, and he's going to send a message out to all of them through this service. And this service is not going to allow you to use your personal cell phone. As a general rule, they're going to rent a phone number from them. So understand that that's the first thing. So when the message comes in, it'll say, like I have a dentist will remind me that I have an appointment coming up, something like that's a great use of it. So communicating with customers is great. Communicating with your internal staff is great. It's when you communicate for marketing purposes is where it gets kind of exciting. And so this is the process here, and I'm going to invite kind of a conversation with Jacob and Margaret if you guys want to jump in, but you're going to set up an account, username, password, authenticate, log into the Twilio console, if you will. And then we're going to go down to this idea where you can rent or buy a number. It says buy a number here, but rent's probably a better word for it, right? And then you're allowed to do a search to pick a number from an area code that you like, or that's around, maybe you're an international, doesn't matter, or maybe you're in a region and you want to have the correct area code to look like it from the region, right? Once again, and you're going to go through this process, and down here you'll see this A2P 10 Delta Lima Charlie DLC registration, okay? Required for US messaging. So Jacob, what is this right here? Can you verbally tell us what this is about?
Yeah, that program basically is, as everyone may be familiar with, we've had a texting spam problem for a while in the US. I'll say, at least in my experience, it's gotten better recently. This is why.
Okay.
All of the, I'll call it SMS providers, but that's AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, whatever. But it's also all the other little digital providers like Twilio and them. Basically got a program together to register businesses that are going to be texting, as in you're a legitimate business, you're trying to send people messages, yeah, but it's not a spam thing. Maybe even you're doing advertising, that's fine, but it isn't abusive. You're willing to sign up as a business and put your name on what you're doing. This program is what lets you do that. So specifically the 10 DLC part of this, it's A2P is application to person or something like that. But the 10 DLC is because you're not texting out of a short code. If you know the short text message numbers that you can, those are very expensive. If you haven't ever investigated that, they're very expensive. And so lots of businesses, for cost reasons, are fine using a local area code, random other number that, yeah, right, you can buy on Twilio basically. So through this, you as a business can register and say, I'm going to send marketing messages, I'm going to send transactional messages, or both. And then you put your name in the hat, you go in the database, they give it the thumbs up that everything, if it's marketing and stuff, you'll like provide examples of what you're going to send.
We're going to get to that. That's in here.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. And so basically, anyway, that's the short version of the whole thing. You register as your business, and here's what I'm going to do, and here's how. Yep. Right. Like this. Like he's going through here, and then payment details, of course, because it's money.
Yep.
And yeah, at that point, they'll approve it, which can take time. There was a somewhat long waiting time when we first did this presentation. If you go check some of our historic streams, there's one where I did like a whole hour on this whole registration program and all that, way more detail. And it took a while at the time, and that was because they were just imposing this requirement, and so everybody was backed up on approvals basically. So
when I did this, it took about, let's see.
Well, to be clear, you're not done.
Well, the first half that Jacob is talking about, I think, if I understand, the actual registration versus the campaign approval, two different parts. Yep. The actual registration.
Okay, so yeah, so let me help you with this. This is Margaret. This is so everyone here, Margaret, we've switched roles for this. Margaret built out and did this demo, okay? And I got to watch from afar and help have a conversation, but Margaret's talking like an engineer right now. And so what she just said is that you sign up and you get approved, okay? But you have to submit a driver's license. You have to submit some of your federal U.S. government tax information, like your EIN, if you know what your tax ID is, okay? Once you do that, they approve that. That's still, it doesn't mean you can still send anything yet. As of right now, Margaret started this Monday. When did you start it? Monday?
Monday, yeah.
Yeah. And she still can't send a text message yet. So saying a part of it is done, It could be 12 parts. It doesn't matter until it works all the way. It ain't done, right? And so that's why I'm nitpicking on explaining stuff to people. Margaret started this, and so then part of what we did is we went through the registration process. We have a driver's license process that we go through. We register. We have our EIN number for whatever is. This is your 123. This is not our EIN, but we used our real EIN for one of my corporations that we have, right? LLC, things like that. And then you get down. So that's one part, but that's, even if you do that stuff up above, it still doesn't mean you can send it yet. You have
Correct.
to, you have, yeah, that's my point, Margaret.
I only distinguish the two because you cannot make this campaign until they approve the first half.
And a campaign is basically, we would just say, as Jacob would say, it's a transactional conversation between your employees and or a direct customer. Like the customer's paying you. Listen, if a customer is paying you money, at least in the United States and most places, you can send them a message. It's reasonable because you have a business relationship with them, right? And that's what we're targeting here. I'm not targeting about how to try to sell things to people who don't. Yeah.
It's specifically transactional, so you don't need additional permission to give, as an easy example, an account update, a shipping thing, like shipping updates, or hey, your product is going to be delivered today, blah blah blah. Somebody bought something on your store, fine, that kind of stuff. That is separate from, mailing out a coupon or that kind of purely marketing type stuff.
Yeah. And so that's where you're going to differentiate here. Now, Margaret, do you want this low volume mix? What does that mean? Is that what the one you selected here?
That is the one I selected, and that's because it allows you to do a variety. They have regular, they call mixed if you scroll down, which allows you to do a lot of mixed different kinds of messages. It's one, there you go, that one right there. But low volume mix is specifically if you're not sending a ton of messages. So you can send a variety out, and it won't ping you for being outside of the designated area. And it's if you aren't sending a lot of messages. And I picked that because this is a test. This is a test campaign for testing purposes. So I don't expect there to be a lot of messages sent on it.
Yeah, but I think a lot of messages, Margaret, is a relative term. I don't think that we have any unless we send out everyone in our email signs up for our email campaign, we send them a message. But I think if you sent 10,000 messages a month, that would be considered limited, small number.
Yeah, is the tier still 3? It used to be 3,000.
That's a good question, Margaret. It's probably in here, but the point is that most of us, if we're talking to customers, are not going to have that many.
It's a generous number. Yeah,
it's a pretty big.
It's not
number.
like an amazing. As always, it's like you have to think about it if you're a big enough business or have enough clients or whatever. But it's a fairly generous low tier.
Yeah, so we put a sample in here. So once again, this goes back to our parts system we talked about a couple weeks ago, and we're going to jump into that parts demo here momentarily. But the idea is that if there's a part that urgently needs to be ordered by the parts department, we don't want it to be an email sitting in their inbox or something else. We want to alert them to SMS that there's urgent business stuff that they have to do, which is why we need it. So for any aviation, I mean, not Boeing, but any aviation management or construction company where they're urgently running around doing parts and stuff, they would never send out more than 200 or 300 of those a month max. It would be a truly large number for that kind of messaging. Even with customers, would you like to approve this work we're going to do? That kind of stuff. Or come visit the website. Here's a link. How do you get them to immediately engage with something you need? And that's what this is about. So we provide them a sample. And so we're still in this process of waiting to be approved. So we submitted a photocopy of a driver's license, EIN number for the business, and samples of this stuff. And now it's gone into Margaret, a multi-week delay? Is that
if you scroll down, there's a message that tells you how long you can expect to wait.
Okay, so you have to put all this in. This is the entire process here, and we can. Margaret, is there any reason we can't share this with people? This document?
No, there shouldn't be. I don't think there's any actual important information on it. There you go. That's the little thing. The campaign registration is in process. Your A2P campaign has been submitted and is now under review. This process may take several days to complete. The Twilio team will reach out via email if there's anything wrong with your campaign. Otherwise, you may check back on your campaign status and the campaigns page in a couple of days. Please note that until the campaign is approved, you'll not be able to send A2P traffic on this campaign. So, oh, there's another part of this that I forgot to take screenshots of. Whoops. That's a Margaret whoopsies. There's a thing.
Walk us through it.
There's a mention here about, in the meantime, you may proceed to the next page to pre-select the phone numbers you want to use for your campaign. So, when you rent a phone number from Twilio and you have a campaign made, you must assign those numbers to those campaigns so that they know what traffic to expect out of those phone numbers. You do not want to mix up your phone number. I don't know how hard they'll hit you on it, but you have to go actually physically assign the phone numbers to those campaigns. And then once the campaign is approved, then you can use those phone numbers to do what you said that you were going to do with them. So,
all right. So if we're talking to internal staff and a handful of paying customers about coordinating with scheduling with them, would that all go under one campaign? It seems like it does. So
if you picked mixed, yes.
Yeah, if you picked mixed, okay. Yeah. Okay, real quick, you want to share your screen on this a little bit so we can actually see this, because even though it's not turned on, we can still do testing, which is kind of neat, right?
Yes, I'm going to hit replace current share with mine. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is my console of wonder and joy. Even though we can't actually, if I go to phone numbers, manage, active, yeah, we have these active numbers, and I believe, yeah, see, messaging service, low volume A2P messaging service. So that's the campaign that this number is attached to.
Can you in here see that we're waiting for the campaign to be approved?
I have not been able to find that.
Really?
Their UI is, I have a hard time with it. It might just be me being really unfamiliar. I'm sure it is. But I've had a hard time figuring out where to there's no little warning of hey, this has been approved or not approved. They do send really good emails. So I got pinged when part one of this adventure was in progress, the part where I had submitted my driver's license and the tax information. I got an email that was telling me, hey, this is now under review. And then I got a reply about, I would say 10 minutes later, telling me that, first of all, I had made a mistake. Good information to know. If you enter the information and you have made a mistake, I made the mistake of not adding incorporated at the end of my company name, which they want the official legal company name. You have to add that. It allowed me to edit and then resubmit. So that took another 10 minutes, but then it came back and told me that was good. But I got an email about it. I got an email that the campaign is in progress of being considered, but I have not got an email telling me that it has been approved. So, with that all being said, if you actually want, because you can still test this. We go, I think, down to messaging. Yeah, okay. You skedoodle your way down to messaging over here. You click try it out. And then you click send an SMS. And this brings up their messaging system, which is, yeah, okay. So this tells you that this is the phone number. This is the phone number of their fake virtual phone. If you go down here and click virtual phone, you will notice a virtual phone. It's select your sender. This is the phone number, the fake virtual phone that you can send messages to. If I click the message, this is the phone number that I've put into the database. So I'm going to click this.
That we're sending from.
That we're sending, yes, that we're sending from. This is the Twilio number that we have rented right here, that we are sending messages from. And you will notice that you can see me testing. Haha, notice helicopter messages and orange messages, which is pretty Carlton standard. So this is a fake phone that you can interact with, and all these came out of FileMaker.
So the idea is that right now, until we're approved, we can only send it to their on-screen simulator thing. And once we're approved, then we can actually send these to real people.
And then you can pick an actual phone number to send stuff to. Yes, not this fake one. But.
Okay. All right. So with that in mind, Jacob, you want to add anything to this as we're kind of bobbing along here? So the technical part of this is kind of where we're going, but the hurdles of getting through this certification is not, I would say, if you promise a customer you're going to build this, you better give yourself a couple weeks and you better start it early to get it done and online, because we started at Monday, today's Thursday. Was it Monday you started this, Margaret, or you started over the weekend?
I mean, I technically like researched this on and off like the week prior because I was trying to figure out what I was looking at. It wasn't until Jacob mentioned the A2P registration that I could finally figure out where I was supposed to be.
Okay.
Posing around.
And what that even means, right? Yeah. So, and Jacob, is there a different one for Europe, or how does that work for the EU? I mean, do you have a thought on that?
I don't know the answer to that question, actually.
Okay. Yeah, because they have their own privacy and things like that there. And so I would imagine that there's some sort of separate or similar but different set of hurdles you have to jump over to get through that as
Probably,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you're in Europe, feel free to bring that up. But yeah, you get through this process. Twilio is probably international worldwide, would be my guess, right? So anyway, so all right. So Margaret, if you want to go back to FileMaker and bring up our initial demo file. So this is a demo file that we updated.
Yes.
And so if you bring this one up, this is a demo file that we had created many, many years ago. And it was originally from a blog that's no longer, or at least the Calibri one doesn't seem to be there, but Calibri Solutions, which is a FileMaker consultancy, they built a sample, and I called them and say, hey, can we talk about this and do this? And they said, yeah, so we did all this. That being said, it wasn't working the other day, so we went in and wrestled with it and checked online references, things like that, and we had to make a little adjustment. But now it will work. So Margaret, if you want to, is there any way to demo this from in here?
There is a way to demo this. You're going to, well, okay, it's hidden most of my information on this home screen, so I shouldn't dox myself too, Ben. Yes, I know. Go back. Put. So
you need an account and a token?
Yes.
So we copy, so stop. Yeah, well, there's that, right? There's that one there.
The account SID goes to this account ID.
Paste it in that, okay. And then and then the token
is right here.
Is another string, whereas copy that. Yeah, she managed to do that. There we go, paste the token in there. And that's basically like your username and password, right?
Yes.
And then
and then the from phone number, which it does tell you at the very beginning. You can view all numbers, but the very first one you pick will sit here on your thing, so you can just copy.
Okay.
And then, and then we are going
into their simulator for the time being.
Yes, but that means that I have to meander my way back to the simulator. So give me a hot moment. Send an SMS. And then we're going to choose from here. And then we're going to go to the virtual phone. Make sure this is functioning. Yes,
so
okay.
It's 844. So that's the 844 number. Margaret,
Copy. So this is the 2 phone number. Someone said that I could try personal numbers. I haven't tried it because most of the time it tells me to lick sand. But I can try sending it to my personal phone number here and see what happens. Lick sand?
Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh, we need. Well, you got that one. Okay.
Okay. So, I just said I could have changed the message, but we'll go down and see. Your helicopter is totally broken. See, we just sent an SMS from this chunk out of FileMaker into their fake digital virtual phone on their website. So,
so this is not going to real phones. Even if it was, we would be limited. I don't know. We could just send it out to all of you, right? Some of you are international. I don't even know how that would work, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I could try mine real fast. Pretty sure it's going to tell me that I'm full of nonsense, but we can give it a shot.
Okay.
Opening. Hold on, I'm going to hit send. Hit OK.
And then we see what happens with but it's on your phone. So if it
dings, it's on my phone. I'll ding it. If it dings, I'll let you know, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to ding. Oh, but this does allow me to show you their troubleshooting, which I actually is so far the only part of their website that I like.
So show us the troubleshooting.
Okay, so troubleshooting is real fun. Where is their troubleshooting? Monitor. We go to monitor, we go to logs. Bless logs. Go to messaging. Programmable. There it is. So, this is their troubleshooting. It tells you every message that you have attempted to send from the outgoing API. I assume also it'll tell you the receiving API, but I've not attempted to mess with reception. And so it tells you what it is, what was sent, your helicopter is fully broken, orange is best color, and it says undelivered. And then you can click this, which is their AI. I've gathered the top. Please check the breakdown for,
There it is.
The number that I am attempting to send from has not been verified because the campaign it's a part of has not been verified. So it is in fact telling me to lick sand.
I've not heard lick sand. That's a new one. I've heard pound sand or other stuff.
I'm probably combining. I combine metaphors by accident a lot. It gets me in trouble. But yeah, this actually this helped me a lot when I was first messing with this because I was trying to figure out because I was initially trying to get our Twilio demo to work, the one that I have been showing off back here, trying to get this to work initially, and I was fussing around with I would click and tell me, yeah, the outgoing message was attempted. We see that you made the attempt, but it's not happening. And it kind of allowed me to go look and find in their documentation. So it's been interesting. But yeah, I like their troubleshooting system. So
yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah.
We had an interesting question. David is asking, what happens if I remove the +1? Well, let's see. I have no idea what will happen if I remove the +1.
Because that's the country code.
That's the country code, yeah, that's designating us as US. Okay, well, let's actually go get back the number again, which I do not remember.
Because we know that should work if we use theirs. Basically, so those of you wondering about this is like the simulator and Xcode kind of thing where you can simulate what's going on. Kind of great. I love it.
Copy. We're going to put this in here, and then we're going to...
Yeah, get rid of that and change the message. You can't keep putting the same message.
Okay. Orange is marvelous. Marvelous. I can spell.
No. Oh, you did. Good. I'm shocked. I could never spell that word.
I had to think about it. SMS. Okay. So. Oh, the +1 is not required.
Oh, no, but it added it itself.
It did.
See? It did.
Okay, so that's interesting because the old version that was hard coded into our URL. When I was looking at it originally the first time, we made it so that you had to add the +1, or if it noticed there wasn't a +1, it would forcibly add to it. I don't think that's in the current code. So I wonder if they made something in their API where to automatically add the... Yeah, so this is the script, by the way, for everyone wondering, to send the stuff. Do you want to talk through this, Richard, or do you want me to try to talk through this with my...
You could talk though real quick, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So the whole idea with this is what Margaret's showing in the demo. This is the technical code to make it go. So those first, okay. And some of you would be like, I can, there used to be a game show where I could name that tune and you could hear a little bit of music on a game show and you could name where that song had come from, what modern pop song or something like that it was from. And so some of you would say, I can write this code in 1 line or 2 lines or something. Once again, this has been strung out for training purposes. So we can see we're doing basic data setup over here. These are variables that will die at the end of the script, okay? So once again, if you're troubleshooting, maybe make them, and you're a newer developer, maybe make them $, so they're all $. Then down here, there's a little bit of validation that went on. Once again, and then this is the old code here that we had previously, and with the API information. And what we did is we went in and added the curl options. So Margaret did not know what curl options are. Margaret's not a big coder. Margaret actually represents, I think, a big chunk of the FileMaker community where they can build basic things, but they're not going to get down and just do like raw code. So Margaret, can you articulate, go and drink, but if you want to, I'm going to keep talking until you quit drinking. There we go. You have to learn how to coordinate your drinking on screen, right? So, yeah, the question becomes one where, what is curl, Margaret? Can you explain to the people out there who are not experts what is curl?
As of our discussion this morning, curl is the ability to add instructions to a URL.
Yeah, they're almost invisible from the URL because everyone's used to a URL being in a browser like www.apple.com/whatever. And imagine you could put some additional parameters in there, but they weren't in the URL. So right here is the actual URL, HTTP. We see all that, makes perfect sense. Down below here are the curl options. And so when it sends it out to the API, it's sending it out both if you click, I think that one there, Margaret. No, not that one. Where's the, maybe the gear, hit the gear. There we go. So the target is where it's going to, but the URL, just click on that. That's all we're doing is we're referencing that URL. So that's the URL, okay? And then it says, oh, by the way, yeah, keep going. The curl options that we're going to specify are right here. That one, specify curl option.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. Actually, is that a
Yeah,
close?
it's a variable because I think it's grabbing from up here.
Yeah,
right?
curl from post. Yeah, so basically you have the URL, and this is the additional curl. And this came from another contributor online in the FileMaker community that posted this stuff in a forum. So the point is, though, is that basically the idea is that you're sending this data and it kind of gives additional capabilities. So yeah, so that is the basics of this. So it's pretty simple. The hardest part of this is just getting the damn approval because, you know, it's like emails have gotten this way too. Email should be simple and they're not. And SMS messages should be simple, and they're not. Technically, they're generally not too bad, but it's all the stuff you have to do with a service provider, right? So yeah. In fact, yeah, we might save that one for tomorrow if we have time with questions and stuff tomorrow on that. But that was interesting, yeah, because you can. Yeah, there's some other ways of sending SMS messages that are more what we call extreme jankiness. We'll cover the extreme janky tomorrow. But this is the way you're going to do it at a professional level. You're going to back up. You're going to find some other service if you don't like Twilio. They're going to make you do the validation process, the A to P 10 Delta Charlie Lima, or whatever it is. Right, that little string of text up there, that regulatory thing is something that all the providers are requiring. And Jacob, would you say it was because down there it says register right there? It was all about are all the providers in the U.S. they jumped on regulating this so the federal government doesn't force them to do it? Is that
Yeah, that's my understanding. It was one of those situations where if the industry didn't, put a lid on the spam problem that we used to have, Congress was going to get involved. And I don't know, that could be good or bad, but they're not the most amazing with computers, and so everyone was kind of concerned what they were going to come up with.
Yeah, having a governmental agency dictate technology is generally a bad idea. So because the private enterprise, private corporation got together and decided they would do this before.
Yeah.
They would self-regulate before someone put a gun to their head.
Yeah, there's been several different situations like that recently. One is this with texting. The other, if you all have seen it, if you're Americans at least, if you've seen the spam likely like pre-caller ID stuff showing up on your phone and stuff like that, that all is also basically self-regulation from the companies due to the spam calls. Yeah. So that's a cryptographic thing, but yeah, that's how they figured it out, and that's how they can detect like spam calling.
Okay. Yeah. And I talk to people. We get typically, at least out here, we're getting 7 to 10 calls like that, phone calls a day. So you got legit phone calls, then you have text messaging, and then you have emails, right? So anything to reach out to you, there's an appropriate use for it, and then there's not the appropriate use for it. So questions from anyone on whatever? I haven't really looked at Discord too much since it went off the rails almost immediately. Let me see. Is there anything on Discord that is good? There was an option in the simulator to send a personal phone. Can you send your own phone until approved? We tried, that failed, except unless Margaret.
There might be like something I have to like click to get it to like agree. I mean, we can hunt around and look at it. Yeah. Adventure through the system. Okay. So let's see. Messaging, try it out. Send an SMS. Send to a personal number. Okay. Let's give this a shot. 2922. I had to like space on my own phone number for a second. Okay. But this is kind of sending it from here. I don't think I can try. This is a Twilio test.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, it's almost completely.
Yeah, so it wants the +1. Okay. Here. Nope. Why would you go to the very end? This one. Okay. The request is successful.
No.
Nope, not been verified. Hey, at least it pops up and tells you that you're committing crimes.
Yeah. So we're still waiting for verification. Someone's asking about Nick Hunter's file from yesterday. Rick Fosnot. How's it going, Rick?
Yeah, I can sort that before stream ends today. I've been a little extra busy at the
Yeah,
moment.
Margaret's been prepping for this, so and we updated the sample files on this. We'll spend a little bit of time tomorrow. I'm not going to super break it up, but we're going to follow up this conversation tomorrow. We're back to the kind of like the Parch database and having a conversation about alerting the customer when to send stuff out. But it's all pretty cookie cutter stuff. This stuff's pretty easy. The problem, once again, is all the verification and validation. And once again,
Yes.
it's just
and figuring out that you needed. I also had the really I went through like every train of thought that someone who was really uneducated on this would go through, because I was like, oh, okay, so would I have to register my phone number if I wanted to like send messages from my phone through FileMaker to like someone else? You don't do that. You have to rent numbers, which makes sense in retrospect. That wasn't what I was thinking. So it took me a second to realize that you had to rent a number.
Yeah, if I guess this is probably for Podna, right? But if you're a Mac only shop and you're not using FileMaker Server, then you can Apple, and I will show this tomorrow. You can Apple script FileMaker to send the instant message through your messages on your Apple account, But the problem is with that is they guarantee they've got algorithms and they're looking at the quality and quantity of the SMS messages you're sending. And if you try to bomb people with that, you're going to get banned or blown up. And it doesn't work with FileMaker Server due to sandboxing. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow, because I actually built that, because that was a demo back in the day. Way back in the day, we could have Apple FileMaker talk directly to messages on your messages app over here, right? So if I'm over here and Margaret's messages app or whatever's over there, don't click on it, because then all my personal messages will come up. But you get the idea, right? That's where that's going to be a thing. So yeah, so it's kind of a very hacky thing. And I was like, well, how would, so the problem is that you would use it, but then as soon as you probably send to 100 people the same message or some bullshit, you would get, then that phone number, that Apple account would be blocked, and getting it unblocked by Apple or whoever's going to put the brakes on you. You're misusing a personal thing for a business application, and the business is required to have this registration down here. So by bypassing it, this A to P thing, your phone number could go to phone number jail and not be let out of phone number jail, right? You might have to, cancel your account and get a new account. Who wants to go out and have to change phone numbers and go through a big dog and pony show with your phone number provider, because that happens. So once again, I think that personal decision making is a part of the conversation here with that. So
I wanted to see if I could mess with this at all, to see if there's any way that I could convince it to tell me.
So you can have a phone number where like you do something and it sends out a voice call, but that's, once again, you're definitely into kind of a potentially telemarketing mode.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine too many voice calls that weren't someone trying to sell me some bullshit I didn't want. I mean, I can't think of hardly one ever. Maybe a hotel.
Picking up like cars or like helicopters, I guess. Because we get phone, well, usually it's people calling us telling you that you can come pick up your car now. Please come stop by because we fixed the wheels or whatever.
Yeah, but they just use their business number for that.
Yeah.
Why would you use it through here? The reason you use it through here is because you're going to bombard a bunch of people with stupid shit.
Yeah.
Because either you get a phone call from their direct service department, right? Think about Toyota or Ford or some BMW or someone. How many cars are you going to pick? Are they going to fix in a day? 20, 30 cars? There's 20, 30 phone calls in a day. No one gives a shit about that. You wouldn't even bother with this. But SMS messaging is what we're using. MMS is basically the multimedia messaging with images and stuff on it, which is not something we have done. Faxing, I was laughing about that the other day. I would ask how many people under the age of 30 actually have ever seen a fax machine, and do you know what it is, right? So
I'm 28 and I know what a fax machine is.
Yeah, but we've had one here, right?
That's true. I grew up with one. Looking at it. Maybe a daft question, but do connectors link through to SMS providers? Like, what do you mean by connectors? No, I'm curious. Could you please clarify? Mostly,
If they say the word connector, that's probably a Claris Connect question. Here's the deal. Claris Connect is okay. One, I have yet to have a positive experience with Claris Connect, so set that aside. That's why I don't use it. I would like to use it, but it's yeah. So Claris Connect is going to send it to Twilio for you. It doesn't alleviate you from being authorized. So go back to your code, Mark. Bring up your code real quick. That
Yes.
script.
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay, this script. Okay.
Boop.
Okay, so see this script right here, everyone? If you use Claris Connect, you're going to have to do some other little bits of code, but it'll leave you from having to copy and paste this. But all this stuff in here, has been pre-built for us, but to you. You don't have to play with a third-party service. This allows FileMaker server to directly communicate with Twilio without going through an intermediary service. And every time you add a layer of stuff in the middle, that's another place it can break. Makes it more brittle, the more things you put in the middle. So because this is already built, it works. Margaret did this, right? That Margaret's a very kind of I don't know, somewhere lower power junior or lower level, intermediate level developer, something like that. And so she likes to learn. This is all great, but doesn't require a PhD to use this stuff, And so if someone says, well, I want to use, what am I thinking about? Zapier, right? Or some other AI related, integration system. Fine, totally great. But this goes direct, and you don't have to worry about, the middleman, middle level, middleware kind of thing. You keep in mind that you still, no matter who's in the middle of this, Twilio has to authenticate you. So even if you come through Claris Connect, you're still going to have to go through on the Twilio website the whole validation thing. So it's either do this code and steal it from our free sample file and watch the video and copy and paste this in there. Take the sample file and make it work for you. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna set up an account. You're gonna have that Twilio account ID. You're gonna have an SMS, the phone number you're gonna rent. That's the phone number going to. Sorry, my bad. The phone number you're gonna rent, then where it's going to, whoever it's going to, the message, right? And then the rest of the stuff, you just like copy, paste, glue this in here. You're done. You could do some error trapping on the back end because dollar result, you don't see it right here, but Margaret, if you go back over here, dollar result is, what you should do is, it's empty, but the point is that would be the results from Twilio of what happened. And it may not be that it was sent or not or failed or not. It's simply that Twilio received this URL and this curl with this information here, and it made sense, and they were good with that. Okay, that makes sense. It doesn't now. Once they capture all this, so let me, Margaret, do you have? Oh, it's on my computer here. Why don't you stop sharing just for a moment?
Yeah.
Here? I'm going to bring this up real quick here for those of you who wonder about this. Okay, so let's briefly talk about this. So Twilio, and I have to, can I draw? It doesn't particularly matter. Twilio lives up here as another cloud service, like off of here, okay? When you're going to send this request to them, it's going to go to them. They're going to say, yes, we received it. And then that connection will stop. It's like a push. You push the connection to them, you give them the information. It goes into a queue in their system. Once their system, is running through stuff, depends how backed up they are. Maybe they've got lots of servers and it's not too busy, and the instant message goes out immediately without delay. Cool. But it doesn't matter. You've already sent it and disconnected. You don't know that it's sent successfully. Generally, when you do this stuff, it's what we call fire and forget. That's a pilot term, generally, or a military term. You fire it off, and then you change, it's like you fired the missile, and the missile is smart, and it's doing its own thing, and you have changed direction. Now you're focused on something else. That's what happens with these messages. They fire up the service, it gets queued into their thing, the missile's flying on its way to go blow up the bad guys, and your copy of FileMaker the script can continue and do other stuff. So that dollar result, once again, tells you that you successfully communicated with Twilio, not that Twilio was successfully finished doing the job. Okay, just as a general rule. I mean, unless it's going to do that, but most of the time, especially if you're sending a bunch of messages, you're going to want to pile those in there, and you're not going to be waiting for Twilio to provide that data in real time. I guess you could probably set it to do that where your connection would hold open pending the send of that. But like sometimes people are in a bad area and Twilio does a send. Was it received? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, what if it takes 10 seconds for that SMS message to resolve, or a minute to resolve? You want FileMaker to hang out that long? No. You want to move on. Okay. Other question. Let's see. Yeah, Claris Connect. That's Andrew. Yeah. So.
Yeah, comments. Oops, sorry. Comments on YouTube. Twilio used to have a sandbox account that let you send SMS message from Twilio to a verified number. Yeah, the keyword there, I think, Alex, is verification, and the verification is agonizing. My guess is the verification used to be a lot easier, or it was a lot easier. Period. End of story.
If you want to share your screen again, Margaret, that's fine if
Sure.
that comes up. But I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, the verification thing. Listen, Jacob Taylor, is he still here? Is it the verification stuff? I don't know. This level of verification is fairly new in the last 12, 18 months, Jacob? It's this, or has it been this way for a while?
24, I think. If you look at the top here, it says 2023, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
they rolled
so
all this stuff out together. It's the same thing as
there it is. Yeah, so about 18 months.
You haven't set this up with us, but Amazon SES for email does all the same stuff. When you're in, their sandbox is a little easier to get into than this one, but it's basically the same thing. You can like pre-validate one destination email for your testing, and that's it. Once you actually want to use it, or like even you can't even hardly add second testing numbers and stuff. Testing emails. But once you're there, you're like, all right, cool, validate everything works, your code works, blah, blah, blah. That's what this is for. Then you can come back later. In this case, you're probably like Margaret waiting for the campaign approval, second step, honestly. But you come back later and say, all right, cool, let's go into production, and then you can do that.
Yeah, so once again, just a reminder to everyone, we don't know how long it actually takes, but so far we're into it for about 4 or 5 days right now. So of waiting for them to submit all this. So
yeah, I mean, I'm checking my email to make sure I haven't like missed something, because that's always possible. It's me. But
it would have worked. You just tried this to your own phone.
That's true.
It would have worked.
It would have worked.
It would have worked.
It would have worked if it was approved.
You'd have to locate the campaign area. It actually might be that campaigns button that's on the bottom left of your screen right now.
Right on the campaign.
That would be my suspicion.
Here we go.
Verified.
Oh, okay, it is verified. So
yeah.
Okay. So when did it verify? Okay.
And then I don't know which one of those is the correct one. That's a separate other.
Okay, this campaign is a live stream. Oh, okay. But I put a number on here. Okay, let's do this magically. Maybe it's good. Okay, let's do this phone number then, I guess. We're gonna copy this. We're gonna do live testing and see if this now works. Register.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. We're just gonna confirm, friend. Just confirm. Thank you.
They're just making you confirm that.
If I'm accidentally...
If it was connected to something else, you just disconnected it because it's now plugged into this thing.
Okay, so...
Let's go to our sample.
Let's do from... And then...
Change message before you... Oh, yeah.
Oranges, we're going to do... I love oranges so very much. Wait, no. Well, I'll put the word helicopters in here. Much test helicopter.
Okay, great.
Okay, to phone number. We're just going to try to send it to me.
Okay, so that says it's sent to Twilio.
Yes, let's go see what Twilio's about to tell me. What happened?
You'll go to logs.
Errors. Error logs. Oh, sorry, messaging. My bad. Nope, it's mad. Why are you mad at me? Okay.
The toll-free number has not been verified.
No, that was the old one. So undelivered. Okay. Provisioning. On carrier, provisioning, not provisioned on carrier, provisioning issue with character. Okay, can you clarify that to me? What does that mean? Okay, sorry everybody, you get to watch. I have a suspicion that I know what I'll be doing for tomorrow's stream is figuring out what this means.
Yep, there we go. There we go. It's the next thing. So, and this is all the shenanigans of getting verified, right? So yeah, lots of fun, lots of fun. Yeah, it should be like, what do you said? Oh, this should be like something you do in 5 minutes. Like, yeah, that'd be great.
The code is 5 minutes, yes.
Yeah, the FileMaker side, speedy. This bit.
Not so much. All right, great. Well, we can figure that out, and that'll be part of tomorrow's conversation.
Cool.
We'll also show you the janky Apple script that we highly recommend that you don't use.
Just for funsies.
It's kind of fun because it literally is the 5-minute conversation. Like, there it is. No verification, just do it, right? So
that's the simple SMS chunk.
Yeah.
But you can also get yourself in trouble. So cool.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of fun, and obviously, if we're struggling with this, then clearly, if we can figure out a way to make it more streamlined for all of you, that's great. But we have it working in so much as that we are the FileMaker API part of it is fine. It's wrestling with Twilio or an equivalent service is the problem. So, all right. Well, lots of fun there. Margaret, do we have anything else before we call it a day for today?
No. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's good to see you all as always. We will see you tomorrow.